We don't have a script to follow or big-time endorsements.
We're not professional hunters.
No such thing in this country.
We are professional outfitters.
Trust me, that's as close as it gets.
We guide lots of hunters each season.
We put them on deer, and I mean good deer.
We're deer thugs.
Mossy Oaks Deer Thugs is presented by Walmart. Save money, live better. Walmart.
Section 1 and 10.
How far will a buck travel during the rut?
It depends on your doe population, really.
Charlie O'Brien, the Catch-22 Ranch.
If I would guess, they probably could have a 10-mile radius. I mean, it's one of those situations where, if there's quite a few does in a core area that he's around quite a bit, won't travel much at all. But if you start, your population is spread out and the numbers aren't near as big, they just, nature takes its course, and they feel after breeding, they're going to walk and look, and so you're going to see a huge radius for deer, if the population is at a minimal. It's a place that I've actually and really enjoyed being is in Kansas during the rut in November. This is the first time I've actually been out to western Kansas. We went out toward Liberal, Kansas, to a real good place out there and hunted the river bottoms, and it's just an opportunity to see some real quality whitetail. And getting to be the 8th inning, late inning, man. We got to close the deal out. I'm gonna put some stuff out here tonight. Charlie O's doing heat. It's the real heat. There's a lot of buck sign scrapes all over here, back here behind us. So hopefully we'll catch these deer coming out of the bedding area, coming out here to these fields out here on top of this ridge to eat. So I think if we sit in here tonight, it'll be a pretty good afternoon, I think. But you always just keep your fingers crossed, because you gotta have a lot of luck sometimes too. And I'm due for some luck. We've been scuffling a little bit. We had put out a bunch of Charlie O stuff as far as, doe and heat, all around there. We had actually hung the drag rag, and it was still hanging up in the tree. We're about 20 yards from our stand. The wind's blowing like this way, so they hit that line, and hopefully they'll come straight in here, where our stand's about 20, 25 yards behind this, so hopefully we can get them to stand and stop, smell right here. And if we is, we're gonna be successful hunters tonight. Let's see if he's a nice, mature Kansas whitetail. And, I'm big in the scents too, and especially during a rut. To me, it's the most important time, or really the only good time to me to really use it a bunch. And what it does is make them curious and bring them in closer, so you get that good, 20, 30-yard shot, which most people will feel real comfortable at.
Mossy Oaks Deer Thugs is brought to you by Walmart, Ram Truck Brand, Quaker Boy, Lethal, Mossberg, and by Precision Shooting Equipment.
Section 1, question 10.
How far will a buck travel during the rut?
A buck will travel a long ways during the rut. A lot of people think that if there's a shortage of does, they're going to travel farther, and it may be.
Justin Akins, Canadian River Hilton.
But that's not always true. We've got a prime example. Last year we had a buck that we had several pictures of. Watched the buck numerous times per week in his home area. He stayed right in there. He was very patternable. He was in there when the rut started chasing does. From the last day we seen the buck, he was killed 2 days after we last seen him, 9.5 miles away, chasing does. And he didn't leave that area because of a shortage of does, because there was a lot of does in that area.
It's a nice place, I think. I just tell you, there's a creek, actually an old river bottom. Hadn't rained here in, I don't know, 12 months or something. These deer are just funneling through here, back behind us, back up on top of the hill. So there's some bucks definitely traveling this corridor right here, heading to that wheat field behind us. So it's a cool thing about hunting river bottoms. You know, you're hunting bedding areas in between bedding areas and a food source. Usually your chance of seeing good deer way out there.
We actually, we spent some time there. The first couple of days was a little slow. Of course, during the rut, you don't ever know what's going to happen. There's an area, kind of like a slough area back behind us that these deer come up out of. And that deer came in there pushing some of those does. One was a real nice 10-pointer that came up there and made a scrape. So, that was a time that was kind of fun to watch, seeing it going out there and putting your stuff out and seeing it work is kind of fun.
Hey, look at this, 8-point come behind that 10-pointer.
When guys like us go hunt or take people hunting, the thing about what I think you have to do is you take the information that you have learned from that hunt and you carry it over maybe to the next one or the next one.
Look at it. Lip curling. Smelling it too.
Because there's so many things that happen and they happen so quick. As a hunter, you have to learn what's going on, understand that each hunt is different, and try to learn as much as you can.
You're going behind the trees over there.
As I enjoy now watching deer probably more so than I do of actually taking a deer.
Kind of walking off, following that 10-pointer now.
I get more joy now of watching other people kill deer, of getting young kids involved. I'm gonna eat up with that because I think that's the most important thing.
That's some cool stuff right there. I love that.
It's not about getting a shot at a deer a lot of times. It's just going out there and seeing the deer and watching them and try to call them in close, a lot of times. It's just something bow hunters are used to. We need to band together, stick together, and bunch up and be one voice in this whole thing so our kids can enjoy the future.
Call Thug with Chris Kirby.
Chris, when things slow down after the morning rush, and deer movement kind of slows a little bit, I like to throw some calls out there blindly, a few grunts and a little doe bleat now and then. What do you think about that?
I think it is absolutely effective. You've gone through all that time and energy to pick a spot to go and sit. You're sitting there because you know there's deer in the area. And just because you're not seeing them at that point, how do you flip that? How do you get to see them? Calling is absolutely creating the illusion that there's another buck in the area, creating the illusion that there's a hot doe in the area. After that lull and everything settles down, bucks are still going to be looking. They're still wanting to breed. If you're going to wait every hour to call, a deer could walk right by you in that 49-minute period and you've missed your opportunity to call them in. There's a small window as they move around you. So do I blind call? Absolutely, and I do it probably more often than I should. Is there a possibility to overcall? I believe so, but that you just kind of develop with time.
Yeah, in moderation, it can be great, but we know it's very effective, right?
Very effective.
You betcha.
Call Thug, brought to you by Deer Thug Calls, powered by Quaker Boy.
Got a call from Rusty, Mossy Oak. We had an outfitter in western Kansas, Jeff Louderbeck, Double L Outfitters. Great spot in western Kansas out there to invited us to come out and hunt. Man, I jumped at the opportunity to get out there. We're hunting hardwood bottoms, big cottonwood bottoms that are absolutely beautiful, but it is very deceiving because when you drive through that area over there, you think it's nothing but rolling sage hills, and it doesn't look like it'll hold 3 deers for a square mile. But you get down in those hardwood bottoms and it's just ate up with deer sign.
Day 2 in Southwest Kansas, Double L Outfitters. We're hoping to get a couple hours in here. Maybe something will kick off before this weather sets in here. It may happen, but we'll be here as long as we can.
And sure enough, saw a nice buck that we determined to be a shooter.
Oh, it's a buck. It's a nice buck. It's a shooter.
Work in our direction. We actually thought he was coming in to us, and sure enough, he was doing a little scent checking, and he wasn't hardcore yet, but he was promising.
Oh, he's coming. He's coming. He's coming.
Started working towards us, and sure enough, he looked like it was fixing to happen. I mean, we got everything ready, got excited, and
oh yeah, come on, buddy, come on.
he kind of skirted us, started around, we grunted a little bit at him. Caught a little interest, but just still not quite there.
Oh, there he comes. There he comes right this way.
Tried to grunt him in a couple more times, and again, we just weren't hitting it right.
Oh no. Oh no. He just buggered out.
Again, it was very, very promising. Good encounter on a good deer, and just a little bit closer and we would have done it.
Section 1, question 10.
How far will a buck travel during the rut?
A buck typically travels a half a mile within his core area.
Fred Law, Enon Plantation.
Sometimes they'll go a mile or a little further. Over the years, there's been countless studies just to determine this fact. Bucks have been collared, they've been tracked. Half a mile is what most studies will show, but that's not to say there's not a renegade or a night traveler that'll travel a mile and a half or 2 miles, but for the most part, if you see a good deer, he's gonna be within a half a mile of that spot when the rut comes in.
Mossy Oaks Deer Thugs is brought to you by Come Here, Deer, Charlie O Products, New Flesh, Scott Archery, Schwacker Broadheads, and by Mossy Oak Brand Camo.
Section 1, question 10.
How far will a buck travel during the rut?
A lot of different factors come into play in how far a buck will travel during the rut.
Kevin Burleson, heart of Texas bow hunting.
I've seen a buck on a game camera on one side of my ranch one day, and the very next day, 6 miles away, catch the same buck moving. So they travel a long ways, but I think a lot of it is based on how many does there is to be bred in that area, how many does are left to be bred, the competition between other bucks, the dominance of the buck. If he's being pushed from one area to another area because of other more dominant bucks, they're going to go find a place that they can actually do some breeding. So a lot of factors come into play, but they will travel a good long ways.
I had a buddy actually tell me about Corey Jarvis up there. He was fixing to go on a hunt with him and had talked to him and said he had another opening up there. Never been to Canada on a whitetail hunt. I was definitely interested, and especially after I called Corey and talked to him about what he had and what he had to offer and everything else. Sounded like something I had to be a part of. After doing some scouting, we found a cutout bank with a trail right up the edge of this long hill that leads up to the feed fields.
Here we are, day 2 of the afternoon. Tell we had some weather move in. It's supposed to rain tonight. It's 50 degrees and dropping. We've got, again, the river behind us. There's sanctuary and bedding area behind us, and they're all funneling through right up here at the feed fields. And their main trail is coming right up beside us or right down in front of us. We've got in here and got a makeshift line sitting on a straight up cliff. Hope we don't fall off, but anyway, hoping something big is going to come out of here tonight. I feel pretty good about it. I think they're going to start moving pretty early, so we got in here early. But anyway, we're going to sit back, try to brush in as much as we can, camo in as much as we can, see what happens, man. Hope for the best.
Sure enough, that afternoon, it just almost paid off in a big way.
There's a deer, there's a deer. Right by that log, dog. Right by that old log stand there. Oh, look at that, he's a buck, he's a good buck. Oh, yeah, he's a really good buck.
Nice shot, Fred.
Thank you, sir. Blake, can you explain why some people when shooting a bow will hit their arm or wrist with the string and others don't?
Yeah, that's a really good, common problem that people experience, and especially with today's bows. You know, we've really gone to a thin grip on our bows because it's much better for eliminating torque, which means that you're putting pressure on the sides of your hand and you're causing your bow to move, and it'll make you really inconsistent. Now, but with a thinner grip, you really need to be careful that you're not getting too far into the bow and that your hand's not deep in the bow like that. What that does, if you watch my forearm, when I'm in this position and I'm gripping that bow real tight, my forearm's 100% in the way. But if I get in a good shooting position, which is the knuckles running out at an angle away from the bow, it completely turns my forearm from here, and I've got complete clearance now. The easiest way I tell people to do it is take their index finger and run it down the flat part of the bow. Then roll all three of the remaining fingers under between on the other side of the grip. That's going to put you in the proper position. Then when you draw the bow, relax the hand, and you'll make better shots and you won't hit your arm.
Man, that's great tips, and you can clearly see you got plenty of clearance, and that'll save you a lot of pain.
And not only that, I noticed that you were wearing an arm guard there. That's great for hunting gear because clothes still will get in the way, and if you need to keep a compression sleeve on there to suck it up tight, always do that and be careful about that.
Yes, sir.
There's a deer, there's a deer. Right by that log, dog. Right by that old log stand there. Oh, look at that, he's a buck, he's a good buck.
Very big 10-point, big heavy thing, you know, close to 300 pounds and just a very good mature buck.
He's a 10, he's a 10, he's a really nice 10. He's tall, he's heavy, he's wide. There's a boy right here.
The whole time he was working towards the trail was coming in, but he had several different options that he could have went left or right. But the closer he got, the more he looked like he was coming up my trail. There was an old road bed on the bottom, and if he came across that road, he had no option but my trail.
Come on, boy.
He stopped at the road, looked both ways, and came straight across. Finally, he relaxes, looks back, and commits. Starts coming up the hill.
No.
I didn't have a clue that one of those little deer had come up before him and was already up above the trail in view of me. She busted. She caught me drawing back.
Where did she come from? I didn't see that dog.
I just couldn't believe it. You talk about letting the wind out of my sails.
Oh my goodness. It just don't get no better than that.
Really good encounter. Very cool stuff. But gosh, I tell you, I had never been so close to a big buck in my life than that one.
Section 1, question 13.
What percentage of mature bucks are taken during the rut?
70%.
75%.
I'm going to say 70%.
70.
85%.
Rapid Fire is brought to you by Walmart. Save money, live better. Walmart.
Section 1, question 10.
How far will a buck travel during the rut?
5 to 6 miles, and not just during the rut.
Jimmy Riley, Giles Island.
We've seen a buck in the morning next to the river on one end of the property, and that afternoon, 6 miles away is in a food plot. I'm sorry, and I know you're sitting there thinking, you know, I got a little 200-acre patch of land, it's a half a mile wide, I don't have a chance of keeping my bucks on my property. Well, you might lose, you might not, but you might pick up somebody else's bucks too, so stay in the woods. You know, not all deer are the same, not all deer move that far. They're just like people, they have different personalities, they have different habits. They can go a long ways, but it doesn't matter, you might lose some of your deer, but you might pick up somebody else's deer.
Last day here in Nebraska. We've had a good time. My first time to ever get to hunt around cornfields. I wish it was cut though. Deer's hiding out in that corn, laying up in there all day long. But we got 2 more hunts this morning and this afternoon. We're gonna give it all we got.
And finally, the last afternoon, I'm like, here we go, you know, this is it. You know, we're seeing bucks, hope one comes by today. And sure enough, man, I mean, the sun has already gone down, and here it comes. It wasn't a monster rack deer, but it was an old buck. I mean, it was an old 10-point. There's a reason why, you know, you're gonna see on the show, you know, just encounters like I had. You know, it was a close call. I got the full draw on a buck, didn't kill it. You watch a bunch of hunting shows and everybody's whacking a deer every time they get in the stand. That's not reality. We hunt way more times when we don't kill a deer than when we do kill a deer.